the more interested you are in someone, the more interesting you seem to be.
Yeah.
So ask the questions, be interested in what their lives are all about. Their jacket, are they married? Do they have kids? What are they up to? What's going on? But be genuine about it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been thinking about buying your first rental property for some time, or do you already own a bunch of properties? Well, fellow investors, you found the right location to listen and learn from others' successes. Welcome to The Very Real Estate Effect with your host, Axel Mont-Saint-Jean.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing everywhere. And today, it's part 2 of a 2-part series with my friend and branding marketing expert, Etienne Bessette. Etienne, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again.
All right. So thank you for coming back. Last week, we had talked about knowing your audience because as real estate investors, we're always talking to people. It's a people business. We're out there all the time. Sellers, financing, brokers, you name it. And you had shared with me that you've noticed that sometimes people, they don't really know who they're talking to, and that we talked about last week, and we highly invite you to listen to that episode. And this week, we wanted to take a little bit of time on how to craft a proper message, whether you're looking for a property or whether you're looking for partners to come in with you. How should that be presented in terms of positioning and marketing? And I hate to use the word marketing for this. It's almost not what I meant to say, but basically how do you convince someone to come in with you on a deal?
That's a really, really good question. I think it comes into, there's a lot of different ways to start answering that. I'll try to be as brief as possible when it comes to that because there's multiple different ways to attack that. The first one is how you present yourself. And one way or the other, do you have any form of pedigree? What do you stand for? What's your investment brand all about? Like, for example, when you choose an investment bank, let's say when you're going to invest with X, Y, and Z for your retirement or whatever, there's a lot of different ways to do that. And usually it comes down to the person that's behind that. And I don't care if you're into what we call B2B, business to business, business to consumer, direct to consumer, whatever it is. It's a people business, no matter what you're doing. Always about people. When you go to the bank, last time I checked, you're not talking to a machine unless you're online and you're chatting with a bot. And if you just mess with it, they don't even know how to answer these things properly. So they always send you to a person. The thing is that people are sensitive. People are swayable. And the idea is not to manipulate them. Like we said last time, is that they'll convince themselves if you have intelligent, strong arguments based on what they're saying. That's where the shift happens. They'll believe what they want, but if you make it so as that they want it, you don't have to do all that much.
No.
So it's really in the conversation about listening. I use this analogy all the time. If you have this is more for advertising per se or marketing or branding or whatever it is, but if you have a billboard, for example. Now think of this as about what you're doing on a day-to-day with a person.
Yeah.
If you toss a tennis ball at someone, and you're the billboard, you're the one message, one tennis ball, right? That person's like, oh, catches it because they're looking at it and they're, oh, interesting. Piqued my curiosity. It was simple, it was surprising, it was relevant, it was memorable, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll throw it back, and because I remember it. If I throw 5 tennis balls at you, hard, odds are you're going to go, oh, and not even catch one, and maybe even get mad.
Yeah.
And then you're going to tell other people.
Don't walk in front of that billboard. They're going to attack you.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Look at this crap. And then you just lost not just one customer, but a whole bunch because they're going to talk crappy about you. That's the same thing with people. If you go into an investment place or a real estate situation, and that person didn't listen, was rude, was all about them, into the money. It's like, you're coming to see me, I'm the whatever. And not in a caring kind of environment. I'm the man, or you know what I mean, I'm the boss, whoever it is. Then you might be less likely to open up, right? So if you're going to go at this, you almost want to invite them first. casually. Not even talk about the business right away. Talk about their lives, their family, what interests them. You know, usually you can sort of almost scope someone out from the way that they're dressed. Not all the time, because I've seen some really surprising cases of multimillionaires and even billionaires that kind of almost look like starving students kind of thing. But the thing is that in general, you can pick up on a lot of these things and be interested. Therefore, you will be interesting. Now, that's something I read a long, long, long time ago. The more you're interested in someone, the more you seem to be interested. Let me rephrase that. The more interested you are in someone, the more interesting you seem to be. So ask the questions. Be interested in what their lives are all about. Their jacket, are they married? Do they have kids? What are they up to? What's going on? But be genuine about it. Not just a passant and then switch directly to whatever, because they're like, you know, people are pretty good judges of character when it comes to that sort of thing. So that's what I would say is focus on being you're the brand, be the brand ambassador that you would want to have that conversation with if you were you. If you weren't you and that person was there and that person is talking to you, be that.
I love what you said about focusing on them, because the example of, you know, the more you ask questions, the more interesting you're going to be, even though they're the ones doing all the talking.
Absolutely.
And I was on a coaching call yesterday with an investor. He's looking to buy property. He's scaling and all this. And he's working on a seller for a balance of sale. And he's like, yeah, but how do I bring it up? And it was just ask questions. Ask where he's at. Why is he selling? What's important to him right now? And it reminded me of a situation I was in where the person outright said, like, really, I'm looking to sell, but all I need is $50,000 right now because I need to pay for my daughter's wedding. And I was like, what an interesting piece of information. Okay, so you're saying that you'd be willing to sell and all you need is $50K, so the rest you'll finance yourself. Like, that really helps me. And that's just purely through asking questions and giving them the opportunity to share where they're at. And so I really like what you said, and I can't reinforce it enough for the audience, for those who are listening.
Know your audience.
Know your audience of like, hey, when you're prospecting, just ask questions. And sometimes just starting with, tell me about the property, or is there a particular reason you're selling this? Like, tell me more. It's amazing what it opens and what it triggers for people.
You have to genuinely care.
Yeah, of course.
It has to be authentic. It has to come from a place of you know, a real place. You can't paint that onto yourself. And people will smell that out really
big time.
Fast. So if you genuinely care and you genuinely ask questions, it might be a shift for some people. But at the same time, I mean, this is in the 80s and we're not on Wall Street. Right? And we all seen the movie. That's a completely different spiel. We want to avoid that. That doesn't work. It works for some people, but less and less and less. Genuinely care, understand, listen. Be there as to help them. Even though you want something from them, be helpful. Give them, like I started reading this this great book, and it's actually talking about give them high value content for free. Give them something for free without asking for anything in return.
That's what you're doing right now.
Am I really? Is this ASMR? But the thing is, again, I'm trying. I want people to succeed. I want people to enjoy what they're doing even more. I want to take stress off. That's what I do. That's what I tell my clients. I mean, my job is to relieve your stress, help you win, and deliver your mission, our mission. Actually, that's kind of where...
Help focus.
Yeah, help focus on what your mission is. I use a lot of military terminology because I find business isn't like sports. Business is like a battle, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, right? And you've got your lives at stake. And if you have employees, you got their lives at stake. You're paying them, and if something goes bad and there's a problem and you're low on cash, well... someone just left the unit kind of thing and you left somebody behind. We don't want that.
No.
We definitely don't want that. But I use these kinds of things because it's a battle. And guess what? Your competition, or we'll call it the enemy in a way, has a seat at the table, whether you like it or not. You just don't know what cards they're holding, what they're going to do next. You kind of have to think about that a little bit, but you got to focus on what your actual intent is, and that's building trust with your audience all the time. First thing, understand them, know them, build trust, make them want everything along the way. Now, that's the most important thing, especially when you've got the one-on-one conversations, whether it's with you want something from them, they want something from you. You sort of have to have that conversation as well. It goes both ways, because even though that person wants something from you, you never know. This might be a really great situation when you turn the tables eventually. Like that person might actually, whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So everyone's a potential contact. Everyone is that. But you kind of have to look at it too and go, maybe not turn the volume up too high on what you're doing and trying to get it out of every single person that you meet. Understand they have lives and stuff, and they have situations. Everybody's got 1,000 things going on in their minds. Getting their attention, that's where, and rewarding them for that attention. Yeah. Without
rewarding them
for that attention, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because you're bombarded by 30,000 messages every day. Yeah. Now, convincing that person that they should go with you versus someone else, that's the key.
Mm-hmm. And as you were saying that, it reminded me of the importance also of, in talking to them, that you are part of their solution. Because as you had mentioned earlier, they have a pain point, they have an issue, they have a problem, and you're here to help them solve that problem.
That's what you're doing. You're not selling, you're solving.
You're solving.
You're solving a problem.
Exactly. And it was a guy who reminded me, sometimes we get all fancy about stuff, but really just almost any business is solving someone's problem for a profit.
Absolutely.
It's that simple.
It is that simple. That's the pain point we were talking about last time.
And of the, okay, well, someone has a property, they want to sell it, but the foundations are not good and the roof is leaking and stuff. And it's like, that's okay. Yeah, maybe you can't go in the open market, but off market, I can help you get rid of that problem. I'll just buy it from you. Mm-hmm. So, the price has to be, in consequence of the condition of the asset, but I can help you deal. And we've had exactly that situation, actually, from distressed sellers, which we really love. The common point between all of those properties that we were able to buy that were in bad shape is it took time to really build a rapport and a relationship with the seller, number one.
Super important.
Super important. That's where it is. And in a case, it took 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
1 year. Constantly keep going at it. And then the other one is just to help them understand, like, yeah, you have a problem. It's a difficult one. We can help you solve it. We can relieve you of that problem.
Right. And that's where knowing your audience and sometimes being extremely patient and being there for no other reason than looking like you care and actually caring about their situation. For example, and there's many, many like this. Some people are willing to, they have something that you want. You want to buy this, they have a property that you want. And they're almost willing, that what they want is they want to make sure that no one's going to mess too much with it, tear it down, the memories, the value. These are fundamental values that are physical in their being. They feel pain if someone steps on this situation or does this or will turn around, whether it's one thing or the other. And I find that to be incredibly powerful. To have values like that, you don't switcheroo and change up, and you stand behind what you're doing. That's being a very, very strong individual, right? You're not swayed by the wind or whatever's cool right now. So in your case, in this situation, you cared, right? And that takes time. They want to know, what am I putting what I've just poured 60 years into, for example? I don't have enough money to fix this one. I've got too many properties. It was a legacy from my grandmother, from my father, or whatever it is, and this person is at a certain age, and they need to, at some point, rethink their situation. Some of these people are actually willing to let it go for less money.
Oh, totally.
To the right person.
Very common. A lot more than we think.
And that's where the game changes. It's not even about money. Like we talked about commodity. Money is an exchange de service, as we say in French, right? In this case. But in the other one it's an exchange of emotional release. They're at peace with the idea that this person isn't going to screw up.
Yeah. And for them, it feels like it ensures continuity.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely
legacy.
key. Yeah.
Right? Even though it's not
man.
theirs anymore, it changes. Now, like I said, psychology, it's all marketing, like I said earlier, it's advertising, marketing, branding, design, strategy, insights, because we're human.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're aware of what's happening and what's going on, trends are another thing. I don't like to do that sort of thing because those things change. You might actually have a piece that you're going to put out in 2 weeks, a month, and things just change because somebody posted something on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
That
and
we don't want to be swayed by
avoid that as much as possible.
No.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. But I find what we've just talked about, all those things, put all those things together, and then everything happens then by itself.
Yeah.
The magic is about listening like you're listening to a person and understanding your audience. Put those two things together, build some form of visual identity that is unique, that's different, that's not rendered by AI, that's thought out by a person. Trust me, I've done both.
Yeah, you can see the difference.
I use both.
Yeah.
I mean, I use a significant amount of artificial intelligence in what I do in certain cases, but at the same time, there's a big difference in the rendering, and it doesn't kind of touch the same parts of the soul. A human talking to a human is very, very different. So you got to use it if you're in public. Your brand speaks for you. Okay, it's your ambassador. How are you? What are your cards? What is your website? What's your advertising? What are your the banners that you will put outside a property? How you interact? How anyone around you interacts? Everyone in your company, whether it's you and one partner or you and 50 of them. They all have to have a similar voice to the voice of the brand. If the person X is running the show, everyone has to have a certain part of that person with them, at least the voice, the message, the tone. Because otherwise, you're a bad representative of the brand.
Well, it's just not aligned.
Exactly.
It's not aligned with the values and what
Exactly.
it stands for, and that has a big impact then after that on the
results.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm so happy and grateful that you came on, because this is a bit of a different type of episode, because this is a lot less real estate-y, but yet so important. And I'm very happy that we had these conversations, because I think a lot of people actually don't think enough about those things and the importance that it has, regardless of the business that you're in.
Exactly, but that's what I was saying. It might not be as real estate-y as what you've done in the past, but at the same time,
it's so important.
Yeah, 100%.
So important.
Everything is about that. You're solving a problem for someone.
Yeah.
That's it. It's simple. It's complicated because the really, really simple stuff is really, really complicated.
It really, really gets complicated. On this wonderful note, if people want to find out more about you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Send me an email. My website's not up yet, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it's send me an email. My name is Etienne. It's ETIENNE .Bessette BESSETTE @gmail.com.
There you go. And if you can't get a hold of him, get a hold of me, and I'll definitely connect you. It will be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Etienne, for coming on this
pleasure.
week again. It's been a real pleasure. And for all those who are listening, definitely share this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation, because they will learn something and they'll remember and they'll thank you for it. So on this note, as usual, keep researching your market, make some offers. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. Ciao.